Alright, let's go ahead and start. So, the first hour of today is going to be about the first routing algorithm, the link state. Although we went through a little bit of the link state algorithm, let me go back to the notation just in case that you missed the last lecture. The lecture yesterday. So, recap of. Let me introduce these notations before I bring up the pseudocode for the Dijkstra algorithm. First is CAB. This is the cost of the link connecting router A and B. You should know already. Yeah. What's a little bit surprising to you is this. The cost, CAB, could be infinite, okay, because there's no direct link connecting two routers, and therefore the cost is infinite. Second notation is this, DD. Okay, small d here is indicating that for a particular destination, the path from this router doing the computation to this destination, what is the cost of the path currently? Okay. So capital D here actually stands for distance. This is also saying what is the current distance to a particular destination D for this router doing the computation. Now, PD here, D again is the destination, okay, and PD is to indicate for this router to reach the destination D, okay, along all the routers on the path. What is the previous router before reaching D? Okay, so predecessor node along the path until reaching D. And prime is the set of nodes whose least cost is already known. So here's the pseudocode of the Dijkstra algorithm. There are two phases, the initialization phase and the looping phase. A looping phase looks really complicated, so let's not worry about that part yet and focus on the easier part, the initialization phase. So what we're doing first is to initialize the n prime, the set of nodes we know already the best route to. And we're quickly including A. The reason is this. Whenever we execute once the Dijkstra algorithm, we give also the source of the path. So A here is the source of the path we're trying to discover. In fact, after running through a Dijkstra algorithm, we will discover, okay, the shortest path to every other node in the network. Okay. Now the source, in case A is also its destination, hey, it's trivial, isn't it? We just don't send it down. Send it to 127.0.0.1, the IP address for the local host. So we can initialize n prime to just the source node safely. Second thing we do is actually a for loop here. Okay, inside the for loop, we'll go through all the nodes, okay, in the network other than the source. So all other nodes, okay, and for each node, okay, B, we check whether it's directly connected to the source. If it does, we've discovered a way to go to this particular destination, isn't it? And the distance to it is the link cost between node A and node B. Now, if the node is not adjacent to A, then it's going to trigger this line here. No route has been discovered yet to this destination B. Therefore, distance to the destination infinite. Okay. Now, from the description, you probably also see in order to find all pair shortest path, you need to repeat the Dijkstra algorithm providing a different source address. Okay. Now the exciting part, the looping phase. It looks a bit complicated, but if you focus first here, okay, the loop is going to go until all the nodes are in the n prime set. That is also saying that the loop is going to go until all the shortest paths have been discovered. Okay, the shortest paths to all the nodes have been discovered. And you probably guess that, hey, one of the things that will be changing in the loop is the n prime set. Okay. Yeah, indeed. Okay, the first part in the loop is exactly to do that. We are gradually adding nodes into the n prime set. Okay, and the node we pick to add is this. the node such that the distance to it is currently the minimum. Because adding this I to n prime set is also saying that the best route to I is already discovered. Okay, so why is the minimum di here is suggesting that the best route, this is also the shortest distance to I? Now, think. Originally, okay, we have A in the n prime set. Okay, the D, B there existing with significant values are these. The nodes directly connected to the source. And therefore, the distance to each of these nodes, okay, is the link cost. Now, in the loop, okay, the first two lines here is going to include what? The node with the smallest link cost to the source into the n prime set. Is that making sense? Okay, is the shortest distance, okay, to that particular node exactly that? Is there a way to discover another path to that node that is going to be lower than the link cost between A and I? Not possible, right? Because all the other links cost is higher. If there exists another path to I, the cost is definitely going to be longer than this because all the other link costs are higher already. Okay? So di here is indeed the minimum, and I here we've already discovered the shortest path. So it's safe to include it into n prime in fact. Now, having added I to the n prime set, this is also saying that we already discovered the shortest path to I, and the shortest distance is di. So I know there is something really nice to exploit. Okay? Through I, we can potentially discover shorter paths to other nodes. Okay? We have not yet discovered the shortest path. Okay? So what we're doing here next is to go over for all j nodes that are directly connected to I. So for all the neighbors of I and not yet in n prime. So all the neighbors of I that we have not yet discovered the shortest path, then we update dj. Okay, and that is what this formula is saying. Okay. So the new dj is the minimum of the two, the existing dj and okay, the distance to go from j directly to I and di. So the shortest distance from I to the source. So di plus Cij. So this is what the comment is saying. The new cost to j is either the all cost to j or the shortest path to I plus the link cost from I to j. So what we're doing there is to update dj. Okay, if there's a shorter path, that's just editing. If there's a shorter path, that's override a bad path. Okay, things like that. So you see. What we're doing in the looping phase is actually not much different from what we're doing in the initialization phase. So this part of the looping actually corresponds to this part of the initialization, isn't it? Okay, including nodes that we know for sure, okay, what is the shortest path. And then here actually corresponds to this. Okay, try to discover the shortest path possible, okay, by updating based on the information that is known. So that was the link state routing algorithm. Quite straightforward, but it does require a bit of exercise. So let's try and go through an example using the link state algorithm. So that was the walkthrough of the pseudocode. I know it might appear a bit fuzzy to you. Let's go over a concrete example. So in the example, again, we have 6 routers and there are links. Each link comes with a cost. And let's assume U is the source and Dijkstra is going to do the computation starting from U. Now the initialization phase says let's include the source into the n prime. Therefore, we see U here appearing in n prime. Next thing is to go over all other nodes. Okay. So X, W, V, Y, Z. Those who are adjacent to U, then we set okay, the minimum distance to it. Set the predecessor to reach it. Otherwise, if they are not directly adjacent to you, set the distance to infinite. So for y and z, we'll see, okay, this should be infinite. And for vwx, v, the distance to v should be what? The link cost between the source and v. So between u, v, link cost 7. So 7 should appear here. The predecessor for such a pass definitely going to be a, because we just added a to the n prime set, right? And we're reaching v through a direct link. Therefore, the previous node must be the source, u. For w, link cost being 3, so 3 here, predecessor again u. For x, link cost being 5 and predecessor u. And yeah, 7u, 3u, 5u, infinite, infinite. Okay, so we just finished initialization phase of the Dijkstra algorithm on the example. Now, entering the looping phase. First thing we do in the looping phase is what? To find the I that is not yet in n prime such that the shortest distance to I is the minimum. And we add that I to n prime. Alright, so let's go over the di. Okay. 7, 3, 5, infinite, infinite. Which one is the minimum? Yeah, 3 here is the minimum. Therefore, I is w this time. And we'll include I into the n prime set. That is why. Next, we see u and w both in the n prime set. And then we can now do the second thing we do in the loop. We'll update the minimum cost. And we're going to do this for all the nodes adjacent to, what is the I being added there? W, right? So we'll go over all the nodes adjacent to W. Okay, and that is now already in n prime. So who are the nodes adjacent to W? X, Y, V, oh wait, oh yeah, Y disconnected, okay, because there's one link here, and U, all right. But you know what? U is already in the n prime set, so let's remove this. So there's just 3 nodes, okay, can potentially be J, and we need to update the minimum distance and the predecessor node. So what we'll be doing here is to exploit W here, okay, as a hopping node. So V here, okay, there's another pass, right? Originally we had this direct link, but now there's an alternative pass through W, which is what? 3 plus 3. Okay, the minimum distance to W plus the link cost between V and W. And that is how much? 6. Is 6 better than the existing minimum distance to W? Existing minimum distance to W, existing minimum distance to V is 7. And that is indeed better. Okay, so 6. And in case it's better, the new pass is better, we'll set the predecessor to the new node we're hopping through. So V is now taking W as the predecessor, and the cost, minimum cost from the source, is only 6. Second neighbor, Y. Previously, dy infinite. Currently, if we use W as a hopping node, 3 plus the link cost between W, Y, 8, together 11. Obviously better than infinite. And the predecessor is what? W. Third neighbor of W, X. Exploiting W as the platform, hopping, and then adding the link cost between X and W, that is 7. Is 7 better than dx? Dx was 5. 7, oh, yeah, in X's case, not better, so we'll keep 5. Z not being connected, it will remain the same, so remaining infinite. And therefore, we should see 6W here, 5u here, 11w here, and infinite here. So what do we do next? Well, we're in the loop, and we are not in the condition to end the loop yet, so we're not yet done. We have only u and w in n prime. Okay, there are more nodes. Okay, we could consider adding to the n prime set. And the way we add to the n prime set is to pick I such that di is the minimum. So dv6, dx5, dy11, dz infinity, which one is the minimum? Yeah, x is the one we're picking this time. So we'll include x into the n prime set. And we see there, x here is the I. So we'll be examining all the nodes adjacent to x next. So x is here. The adjacent nodes include u, w, y, and z. But you see, yeah, we'll be going over all the nodes adjacent to y, but not yet in n prime. U and w are already in n prime, so we will not be updating du, not updating dw. So let's update dy. The way to do it is to follow the formula. What is dy now? The current cost, 11. What is the newly discovered path cost? What is the new path? Well, one can actually go to x and then using x as a hopping platform to reach y. And the total cost is 5 plus 7. That is 12. This time, the new path is actually not better than the existing path. So we keep 11w here. The other neighbor, z. Okay, what is the current cost? Infinite. So infinite here. Cost to x is 5. And the link cost from x to z, 9. So the new path discovered is 14. And the predecessor is x, which is better than infinite. So 14x here. Now, v is not even a neighbor of x, so we'll just not update dv and pv at all. So, and that's why we see 6w here, 11w here, and 14x here. So this is the second iteration in the loop. And next, pick I again with the minimum di. 6, 11, 14. Therefore, we include this time v into the n prime set. Right? So 6 here included, v included to the n prime set. And therefore, the I is v. So I here. We'll go over all the adjacent nodes of v, which includes u, w, and y. And that's now already in n prime, so that excludes u and w. The only node that we need to actually update the d for is y. So we'll be updating dy. Existing dy, 11, right here. So if v here is the hopping platform, the cost to go to v, the cost to go to v is actually what? 6, okay, through w. The link cost from v to y is what? 4. So 6 plus 4, 10. Is 10 better than 11? Yes, it is. So let's update it. And this time the predecessor is what? V. Okay, so that is also saying this path here was no longer good, and this is actually a shorter path. Now z is not directly adjacent to v, so we just leave this entry down. That is why we see 10v and 11x. Good, so yet another loop. We pick another I with the minimum di. 10, 14, therefore we pick y next. And y is included into the n prime set. So y is our I this time. So y here, Go through all the adjacent nodes that are not already in M prime. So X already in M prime, W already in M prime, V already in M prime. Only one that is not in M prime is Z. So let's try to update the distance to Z. And again, follow the formula. Existing distance to Z is 14, so 14 here. Using Y as a hopping platform, which says, yeah, the minimum distance is 10, and the predecessor is V, so it's this pass here. And we are adding the link cost from Y to Z, which is 2. 10 plus 2, 12. Oh wow, so this new pass here is better than the existing pass though. Let's update this to 12, and the predecessor is what? Y this time. And so we should see, 12 and Y here. And the last loop is to include the only remaining node, that is Y, actually that is Z here, okay, into the M prime set. And there are no neighbors adjacent to Z that's not yet in M prime. So this part we don't have to execute for the last iteration. Okay. And by now we've completed the Dijkstra's shortest path algorithm, okay, for an example of 6 nodes. Just a couple more notes to construct the shortest path to a particular destination from the source. Say from U to Z. Okay, what it needs to do is just to track the predecessor node, okay, and that's trace it all the way back to the source. So Z is the destination. That's traced back from the predecessor of Z, which is indicated here being Y. And who's the predecessor of Y? Yeah, it's stated here, which is V. Who's the predecessor of V? Stated here, W. Who's the predecessor of W? U. That is the source. Yeah, therefore you see, this is the shortest path from U to Z. The shortest path to X, yeah, indicated by the predecessor, which is U itself. And so we could actually reconstruct the shortest path by just tracing back the predecessors. And you see also here, if we trace back, okay, for all possible destinations to the source, you see also a tree rooted from the source U, okay, to all the destinations. And this is indicating also the shortest path to all the destinations. And such a tree is also called the shortest path tree. And Dijkstra algorithm there is also used to calculate, okay, to generate such a shortest path tree. Second note, the D values, okay, when we're picking the I, can have a tie. So in that case, we just have to break the tie and picking one of those. Okay. Now let's get your notebooks and pen out, and let's try to do a real-time exercise. All right. So here's another example. There are more nodes. So we have actually there are 6 nodes as well, but the network looks a bit different. All right. So U on the left, again Z all the way to the right. Okay. So quiz 30 here is asking you to go through the initialization phase. So Polly here has already done the first step in the initialization phase, which is to include the source. So this scenario here is assuming U node there being the source. So M prime here you see in step 0 we already included U. Okay, could you complete and fill in the rest of step 0? Okay, could you fill in for dV PV, dW PW, dx PX, dy py, and dz pz, okay, going through the second step of the initialization phase. Now recall, what does the second step do? Just to go over all the other nodes and see if they are adjacent to the source, adjacent to the U. Then D to those nodes will be the link cost, okay, from the source U to the node. Otherwise, the distance to the node is infinite. Now, this one should be relatively easy, so let's give it some 3 minutes. Okay, when you're done, type up what you think dv pv should be, what dw pw should be, and all the way to dz pz. Alright. Yeah, this one's relatively easy, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, let me bring up the Q&A. So we see here, team 4 from Kevin. So dv should be 2 and pv should be u, and then 5u, and then 1u, and then, yeah, infinite. Very good. Rocket also comes to the same. Oh, but dv is actually 0. Is that a typo, Rocket? Oh, no, wait. Oh, you're saying the distance to u is 0. Okay, got it. Okay, so 2u, 5u, 1u. Very good. And team 30. RNG. Okay, the same. And team 5 from Bingjia. 251. All right, good. Okay, any more? There's 1 minute left, so it's actually easier than we thought, isn't it? Okay, team 2 there, David. Very well done. Okay, 2u, 5u, 1u. All right, so yeah, getting the initialization phase done is the easier part. Now let's try to move on. I thought we had to fill up the whole table. Okay, you know what? Quiz number 31 is to fill the second row. Okay, so you did not waste your time, David. Okay, so let's go over, okay, the looping phase, at least for once. Okay, real time here. Yeah, I find always the best way to learn an algorithm is just to walk through an example. Okay, that way you fully get it. Okay, so let's get into the loop. Step 1, find the I such that the I is the minimum. And then complete step 2 as well. Update the dj for all the j adjacent to the I and not in n prime. And then update dj and update pj. Okay, let's just do this for step 1, meaning filling the row that says step 1. Yeah, this one might take a little bit of time. Set 5 minutes here. Okay, Polly didn't do this quite yet. Let me see. Okay. So just V, W, Y, and go through X. So that should stay W, 4, okay. Y. Okay. Infinite. Okay, good. All right. So you guys actually did it faster than I do. All right, good. Let's go to the Q&A mode. Good. So we see team 4 saying, So 2u should be for v, right? The column v. And then 4x for column w. And then 2x, I guess that's for column y, okay? Because column x there, after x is included into the n prime set, does not need to be developed any further. Yeah, it's already n prime, so we won't be updating the d and p anymore. Okay. And column z remains infinite because z is not one of the j's. Okay, good. I see. Team 5, Bingjia is giving the same thing. All right. And how you? Okay, team 4 again. Okay, multiple entries from team 4. Okay, it doesn't hurt, right? So we pick the one that is correct. And I think how you come up with the same thing. 13 also. All right. Yeah, so you guys still write 1u because, yeah, I know. It's okay. It's not updated. Let's give it a bit more time. Yeah. So everyone get the chance to exercise. Now for the rest of you, of course, you can continue to develop the table. Okay. David? Oh, very good. So I like the notation because it's very clear. Yeah, ux being the n prime. And for the column v, we have 2u. For column w, we have 4x. Yeah, for column x, we don't update it all by default. And for column y, 2x. And for column z, infinite. Very good. So yeah, that should actually, show that you guys picked up the algorithm already. Okay. But to be safe, let's go over the second example. And you know what? The second example is
Let's walk
exactly
through the second example.
Yeah, the network
which
I'm
is
showing
illustrated
you
right
quiz.
here. Once again, use the source. And step number 1 in the initialization is to include the source into the n prime set. And that is why you see u being here. Now, step number 2. That is to what? To go over all the nodes and see if it's adjacent to A. If it does, then we do this. Set the minimum distance to the node to the link cost between the source and the node. And set the predecessor to the source. So who are the nodes adjacent to the source U? So we do have V and W and X here, right? V connected to U, W connected to U, and X connected to U. And therefore, dV should be the link cost of UV. 2, dW, link cost of UW. dx, link cost of UX. The predecessor is always the source, therefore U, U, and U. For these two nodes who are not adjacent to U, we write infinite, okay, which is the else here. Set the distance to those nodes, infinite. Now to be precise, the predecessor for those nodes will be then also nil. So 2u, 5u, 1u, infinite, infinite. So therefore, okay, to fill in the first row, step 0, 2u, 5u, 1u, infinite, infinite. Now we then enter the looping phase. Okay, in the looping phase, what we do first is to find a node that is not yet in n prime, but okay, di is the minimum. So what di we have? We have 2, we have 5, we have 1, infinite, infinite. Which one is the minimum? Yeah, this one here. Therefore, what do? We include x, okay, into the n prime. And then we move on to the second step in the looping phase, which is to update the minimum distance to these j's that are adjacent to I, which is x, okay, in this iteration.
and not yet in n prime. So let's find out the j first. X here is the I. So u, v, w, y are nodes adjacent to x, but u is already in n prime, so we'll discount u. So we just need to walk through v, w, and y and update the distance to v, w, y. So let's start from v. Okay, the old dv was 2, so which is this entry here. Now we need to find out the di plus cij. So di is this, being 1. Cij, so I is x, j is now v, so the link cost is 2. So the new dv there is 3. Is 3 better than 2? Well, not quite. So we'll just leave the entry as is, okay, for column v. Second neighbor here, second j is w. Okay, so original dw, 5. So 5 here. So these are the old ones for v. So what about di plus cij? Di is still 1, okay, and cij is what? 3 this time. Okay, so in a way, this new path they just discovered, the cost is 4. Is 4 better than 5? It is, therefore. Okay. We write 4 here, and the predecessor is now the I. Because this new path, okay, for destination W, the previous node is X. What about Y? The new path being discovered is this one over here. So 1 plus 1, which is 2. And the O, okay, O dy is what? Ooh, infinite. So 2 is definitely much better, right? And the predecessor, again, being x. Z is not connected, so we'll just, write the entry down. Okay, so we have 2u, 4x, 2x, and infinity. That should feel, yeah, the second row here, 2u, 4x, 2x, and infinity. And that completes step 1. And that takes us back, okay, to the second iteration of the loop, where we find another I, where the di is the minimum. But in this case, what we're seeing here is, whoa, 2, 4, 2. We do have a tie, so we need to break the tie by picking one of these. So let's suppose that we pick y, and therefore we include y into the n prime. So y here is the I for the second iteration. So again, we walk through all the nodes adjacent to y, which includes x, w, and z. But these nodes cannot be in n prime yet. Let's see, x is already in n prime, so let's exclude that. And then consider only w and z. So let's see, what was the dw currently? 2. Yeah, what is the new path we are exploiting here? It's this one here, isn't it? Okay, so 2 plus 1 being 3. Is 3 smaller than 4? Yes, 3. Okay, and now the predecessor to go to destination W is y. Nice. Okay, yet another shorter path to W. For z, okay, the all cost, infinite. Okay, exciting. Yeah, because the new path here, 2 plus 2, 4 is obviously better than infinite. So we should be seeing what? Okay, 3y, 4y being added. V not being directly connected to y, we'll just write, okay, the existing entry down. So 2u, 3y, and 4y should fill the third row. Okay, complete step number 2. And again, we come back to the step 1 of the looping phase, and we pick, okay, the node that has the smallest d. This time, it will be v to be included here. Okay. And to complete the 4th row, okay, we take the second step in the looping phase. Go over oj connected to I, and I is this time v, so where's v? Right here. All right. So all the nodes adjacent to v, but not, okay, connected, not yet in the n prime. So u and x already in n prime. So let's exclude those. So the only node remaining is just w. All right. right? So DW currently 3. So what is the new path we're exploiting here? This one here. Okay, so cost being 2, link VW is 3. So total cost for the new path is 5. Is it better than 3? No. So yeah, we just write down the same thing. Okay. Z is not directly adjacent. Let's see. Yeah, B and Y already taken. So yeah, just 2 entries, 3Y and 4Y for W and Z. And that should complete 3Y, 4Y. Yeah, yet another row. So we're again in step 1 in the looping phase. So W is obviously the next one to include into the n prime set. And W is right here. For all the nodes adjacent to W, V, X, U, Y, Z. Well, actually, all of them connected to W. But you know what? U, V, X, Y are already in the n prime set. So it's just Z remaining. We need to see if the existing cost is better than the newly discovered path cost. Newly discovered path is W, and the cost was 3. Predecessor of W was Y, so it's this path here. So 3 plus 5, that is 8. Is 8 better than 4? Well, not. So 4y remain here. And that fills up the last row. And next is to what? Include z, okay, into the n prime set. And that iteration for step 2 is trivial because no nodes is remaining there and not in n prime. And so this is the complete link state derivation table, okay, for the second example. Now, let's try to build the Dijkstra shortest path tree again, right? So let's go over all the possible destinations. From Z, the predecessor is what? Y. Y's predecessor is X. So X's predecessor, U. So then we don't have to do it again for x, y, okay, because they're already in the tree. Predecessor of W being y, so right here. Okay. B's predecessor, yeah, simply U. So this here, okay, is the shortest path tree built from the Dijkstra's algorithm. And that's what you see. Yeah, the shortest path tree being built from Dijkstra. The forwarding table that we need to install in router U is this. For destination V, yeah, whatever the shortest path indicates, this link here between UV. But for all the rest of the destinations, yeah, this other link, UX link. And this is how, okay, we come up with the forwarding table after running the routing algorithm. Okay, so using Dijkstra, let's build the shortest path tree. And it's clear, okay, for the destination over this branch of the tree, take UV. For all the destination over this branch of the tree, take link UX. And so that was pretty much the link state routing. So the second half of today is going to be some discussion about the link state routing a little bit further. And then we'll go ahead and look at the second routing algorithm called the distance vector. So that will be topic 5 and topic 6 for today. And so from now on, we take a 10 minutes break and we'll resume starting from the discussion of the link state routing, the Dijkstra algorithm. So that will be 11:14 that we resume the lecture. Let me go back to the opening slide here, okay, and break. Okay, example time. Okay, example time. In order to make sure that you understand, yeah, I don't know if you guys have had algorithm. Have you heard about the Dijkstra algorithm? If you do, let me know. Okay, if not, just say not yet. Okay. All right, and then the discussion of the link state algorithm. Okay, so hey, there are some issues with the Dijkstra algorithm. Ah, I see. Okay. Thank you, with the two examples walked through, you see the Dijkstra's algorithm, although look a bit cryptic at the beginning, it's in fact quite straightforward. Initialization phase, 2 steps. Looping phase, 2 steps. Looping phase is the one that we take multiple iterations, we spend more time with. So that is going to bound the complexity of the Dijkstra algorithm. And within the looping phase in each iteration, which of the steps is taking the most time? Yeah, the second step. Inside the second step, we're actually checking all nodes j. Okay, that is adjacent to the node we just added into n prime. Okay. And inside each iteration in the inner for loop, what we do is this, the min operation. And this is in fact to compare the value of the current shortest path to the newly discovered path, right? So d to I plus the link cost between ij. So it's a comparison between this value and this value. So you have the looping phase, and inside there's an inner loop that is doing a lot of these value comparisons. Now, if we consider a fully connected network, that is the worst case for Dijkstra algorithm. Inside the network, there are n nodes. Okay. In the first iteration, so only the source is in the n prime. How many j's is connected to the source? Yeah, it's fully connected. Therefore, n minus 1 nodes, they will all be j,
and we'll need to do mean for each of these j. First iteration, we'll need to do n-1 comparison. Second iteration, how many? And because there's one more node being included into n prime, so number of j in the second iteration, only n-2. Third iteration, and we can go on until, okay, the second last iteration, we have only one node remaining connecting to the new node being added to the n prime. In the last iteration, yeah, the second step is not going to be called, okay, because there's no j remaining. So if we add all these together, okay, this is the number of comparisons. N multiplying n-1 divided by 2. Okay. And this is in the scale of n squared, big O n squared. So big O here is actually to say that the Dijkstra algorithm in the worst case runs in the scale, okay, of n squared. That means, okay, the time complexity, the growing trend of the Dijkstra algorithm is this. When n approach when the network goes really big, okay, the time requirement goes in this trend, okay, like an n squared curve. Now, if it's only big O n, the curve is linear. A straight line, sorry, the line is not very straight here. Now, there's an implementation, okay, available for Dijkstra algorithm such that we could do away with only n log n. Now, this is better than n squared. Right? So again, n is here, n squared growing really fast here, and n log n is actually kind of in between. Faster than the pseudocode we've investigated, and better than a linear algorithm. So, nice to have an efficient implementation, even though the original Dijkstra algorithm is not so good. There's one very special issue with link state routing that's called the path oscillation problem. And it happens when we set the link cost dynamically, based on the amount of traffic going on the link at the time. Now let me explain using an example. Okay, so we have 4 nodes in the example, A, B, C, and D. A is the traffic sink. Okay, all traffic goes to A. B, C, D are traffic sources. A generates one portion of the traffic and send it over past BA. E generates E portion of the traffic. E here is a very small amount, much smaller than 1. And C is taking the CBA path to send traffic to A. D generates also one portion of the traffic and it's taking path DA to send to destination A. And at this point, we need to update the link cost based on the traffic going on the link. So, for link DA, amount of traffic is one portion. For link BA, amount of traffic is what? One portion plus the E portion from C. So, total cost, 1 plus E. The cost for link CB, amount of E traffic from C only. You see also here, okay, this direction, BC, there's no traffic, therefore link cost is 0. Similarly for AB, similarly for AD, and similarly here for both direction in link CD. So we finish updating the link cost. After a while, link state routing is going to trigger Dijkstra algorithm running again. Right, as I described, link state routing is a dynamic routing algorithm. We do periodic update, and sometimes we use also, okay, network events to trigger recomputation of the routes. Link state routing there does periodic recomputation. Okay, it's going to recompute the routes based on the link cost now. So let's see. B here, we'll see 2 possible paths to go to A, right? One is to go counterclockwise to A, the other clockwise to A. So this direction here, the cost is what?
1 plus e, because there's only one link and the link cost is 1 plus e. If we take this other pass, B, C, D, A, yeah, the pass cost is the sum of the link costs, 0 plus 0 plus 1. So if we take the clockwise path, okay, to go from B to A, cost is only 1. And this is 1 plus e, therefore B is going to choose to go this way to send traffic to A. C, also see two possible paths. Okay, if we take this direction, cost is e plus 1 plus e, and that is 1 plus 2e. The other direction, cost is 0 plus 1, therefore 1. And therefore, C would choose to go also clockwise to send traffic to A. Similarly, D sees also two paths. Okay. This direction here, cost is 1. This direction, 0 plus E plus 2 plus E, 1 plus E. So altogether, 1 plus 2E. So still, okay, this direction better. So D is also going to take the clockwise path, okay, the same path to A. So after the route computation complete, you see B, C, D all change to send traffic clockwise. And then we need to update the link cost again, right? So given the previous cost, we come up with the new routes, and we will then, okay, update the link cost, and we come to the new cost again. What is the new cost now? Okay, on link BC, yeah, there's only one portion of the traffic. On link CD, yeah, 1 plus E. On link DA, 2 plus E. And that is why we see 1 plus E, 2 plus E, and all the rest of the links, 0. Once we update the link cost, after the next period that the Dijkstra algorithm is triggered, we compute new routes. So B will then try to see the cost to go this direction and the cost to go the other direction. The cost going counterclockwise is now 0. Cost going clockwise is now 1 plus 1 plus E plus 2 plus E. That's 4 plus 2E. So dominantly, BA is the better path. C's cost going this direction, 0 plus 0, cost is 0. The cost of the other direction, 1 plus E, 2 plus E, 3 plus 2E. So C is going to switch going this direction to send the traffic. What about D? Going this direction, 0 plus 0 plus 0. Going this direction, 2 plus E. So D is going to switch for the first time to go counterclockwise. And that's why in the next moment, you see traffic begin to change direction completely. Okay? From all clockwise, okay, one period before, to counterclockwise the next period. So given these new costs, we calculate the new routes all going counterclockwise, and we update the new costs again based on the traffic. DC is now 1. CB is now 1 plus E. And BA now 2 plus E. And that is what you see here. 1 plus E, and 2 plus E. As a result, B sees this path costs 0. This path costs 2 plus E. B switch the other direction. C sees this path, really high, 3 plus 2E. And this other direction, 0. D, this direction, 0. This direction, super bad, 4 plus 2E. So all of them would switch back like this. And the link cost gets updated again. Okay. 1 on this link, 1 plus E on this link, and 2 plus plus E on this link, which is identical to 2 periods before. Okay? And you see the next period is going to be like, yeah, the previous period. And the traffic is going to oscillate infinitely, right? Clockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise, counterclockwise. So that is the path oscillation problem if we set link cost dynamically in link state routing. Okay, that's running the very straightforward Dijkstra algorithm. Just be careful here. To put simply, link state routing works this way. Each router implements the routing algorithm. It's going to wait until the total information of the network is in place. Then it calls the Dijkstra algorithm. At the end of the calculation, we get the least cost path from this router to every destination possible in the world. So that is essentially the shortest path tree. Now that router being the root of the shortest path tree, we'll see there are multiple branches out to the rest of the world. Taking one branch, it gives you the shortest path to a certain set of destinations, another branch to another set of destinations, yet another branch to yet another set of destinations. And so, from the tree structure, okay, we can construct the forwarding table, and that is how the forwarding table is calculated in the control plane. Next is just to install it into the data plane. Now, the only part I'm going really quick without mentioning much is this: how we get the total network information so we could apply the Dijkstra algorithm in the first place. That is done through this link state broadcast. Each node, okay, in the network is going to generate link state report based on very local information. That includes the ID of the node itself, the ID of the immediate neighbors, and the cost, okay, on the link to these immediate neighbors. Okay, so these are the local information. Node, the neighboring nodes, and the link cost to the neighboring nodes. So all these local information is going to be in the link state report coming from the node. This link state report is going to be broadcasted, meaning, okay, going out through the entire network, being received by all other nodes. So all nodes eventually will receive link state reports from every other node. And these link state reports from every other nodes, including the node's local information, is going to be used to restore, okay, the total network. Let me give you an example to illustrate how that is done. We have a very simple network here, only 4 nodes. Okay, you see, U connects to V, U connects to W, U connects to X. Okay, so if we are node U, okay, and generating node U's link state report, it's going to contain this: the ID of the node itself. Yeah, there are 3 neighboring nodes, V, W, X, and the cost on the link to these nodes, 5, 3, 7. So U to V, link cost 5. U to W, link cost 3. U to X, link cost 7. Similarly, V is going to generate its link state report, which is going to contain only one entry. It connects to U, link cost 5. The link state report from W should look like this: 2 neighbors, U and X, cost being 3 and 2. Link state report from X is contained 2 entries, U and W, link cost 7 and 2. So each of these nodes, U, V, W, X, is going to broadcast their link state report, and every node in the network is going to receive its own local information and every other node's link state report. Therefore, node U here is going to receive the link state reports from V, W, and X, which we know already look like this. The way to restore the network topology is this. Okay, node U knows the local information. It connects to V. It connects to W. It connects to X. Cost is 5, 3, 7. Now, seeing node V's link state report, it knows that V and U is connected, cost is 5. VU, I'm U, so I know, okay, and the cost is 5. W's report is going to tell, okay, the cost to U is 3, which you already know. Oh, W is also connected to X with link cost 2. So W connect to X link cost 2. X report says I connect to U, so X connect to U, you already know. X reports also that it's connecting to W link cost 2, which you already have. And you now manage to reconstruct the total network information from receiving link state reports from all the nodes in the network. And it's contributing also so that other nodes receiving use link state reports can also reconstruct the total network. So you see this one here, U connecting to VWX. Yeah, isomorphic, okay, of the network there. So that was the last piece of the puzzle, link state routing. Other problems you see here. Now you know a little bit about the link state broadcast. Yeah, some of you might see this. These link state broadcasts, it's going to travel the entire network. And it's coming from every router, right? So you have n copies of these packets going to n nodes. The bandwidth consumption is again at this scale. And to store the topology information in the router, right? So we discussed the complexity of Dijkstra algorithm. We don't only talk about the time complexity, we have not yet talked about the space complexity. It's also huge, right? In the worst case, you have n nodes fully connected to every other node. Then you have what? N square number of links. You need to store costs, okay, for all these links. Ugh. Not very scalable when the network goes big, when n goes large. Yeah, and that is actually a good time to talk about distance vector, because distance vector is designed to address with the scalability problem there. So you see, link state routing works fairly well for small networks where n is small. For access network, institutional network, local area network, it might be okay. But for the entire internet backbone, there's no way we use link state routing. And that takes us to the second routing algorithm, okay, distance vector in the chapter. So distance vector routing is exactly here to address the space complexity, to address the message exchange complexity in link state routing. If you think about it, the reason that this link state routing takes so much space, requires sending of so many messages, is because in order for Dijkstra algorithm to run, we need the total network information. So the question to ask is this: can we come up with a path? Can we discover best paths, best routes without knowing the global information? You know what? It's possible. We just need to be a bit patient though. Okay? So Polly here might have two neighbors, Alice and Bob. Bob and Alice do not know each other. Okay? There's no path existing from Bob to Alice. But if Polly shares how Polly knows Alice to Bob, then Bob will know that there's one way, right, to reach Alice, which is through Polly. So I tell my neighbors, and you tell yours, okay, about what you know. Gradually, okay, the network, okay, will spread the good news out and discovering a path, a route, okay, to every other node in the network. That is the general idea of distance vector. Well, and to make sure that this general idea sticks to your brain, let's go through a couple more quizzes and see, okay, if you get the idea. So, quiz number 32. Pick the next router. So you'll be playing the role of a router. So you will be router X, so the one on the lower left. Okay. And you need to send data to W, so that's the router far away. Okay. And because now you're a distance vector router, you do not know, okay, the entire network. So you see here,
Yeah, there are dotted line there leading to W. So you don't know exactly what's going on there, okay? Reaching W. All you know about is just the local information. So you know to go from U to router Y there, the cost is 2. And you know to go to router Z there, cost is 7. Okay? Now, if router Y tells you, hey, X, I know a way to W, okay? And Z there, your other neighbor, tells you, well, I have no idea how to get to W, okay? Now, you being X, okay, would you pass the data to Y or to Z, and why? Okay. This should be very easy. You have only 1 minute to think about it. Okay, you won't pass it to Z, obviously, because Z says that it has no idea. Would you pass the data to Y? How you? Yeah, definitely, isn't it? So one says, hey, you know what, I know a way. The other says, no idea. So which one is riskier? Of course, Z. Yeah, that is the general idea. Yeah, because Z has no idea. Good. R and G come up with the same thing. David also come up with the same thing. Okay, isn't that obvious? Yeah. So you pass the data to those who know better. Doesn't require a lot of brain cells there. Now, okay, let's go to the second quiz, okay, in the series. Quiz number 33. Okay. Again, you need to pick the next router. Again, you're playing the role of being the router X there. Okay, and this time, router Y tells you, oh, hey X, I know a way to W, and the cost is 2. It only costs me 2 to get to W. And Z, on the other hand, tells you, okay, I also know a way to W this time, okay, but the cost is 10. Now, which one would you pass the data to? Y or Z? Okay, so I think Team 5 here is trying to answer quiz 32. Yeah, in 32, it's obvious. Send it to Y, because Z has no idea. Chance is very low that that data, okay, going to Z is going to reach W. Yes. Okay, so think about it. Okay. Which one would you pass? Okay. Do you pass the data to Y or to Z for quiz 33? Oops, what did I do? Okay. Oh, I just love you, Rocket. Yeah. Okay, pass it to Z, of course. Okay. What the heck? All right. Yeah, I know. Okay, so let's see. I think RNG here is trying to answer for quiz 33, right? So you're saying that, oh, send to Y because it's a lower pass cost. Okay, it's lower pass cost. Let's see, Y. Okay, what is the cost to send to W through Y? Link XY cost is 2, and Y y says the cost to w is 2, so altogether 4, right? So the total cost to go from x to w through y will be 4. But if we send it through z to w, will be 7 plus 10, okay, at least 17. Okay, so Rocket is going to insist sending to z, yeah. Okay. Lower traffics. Ah, okay. That is cool. Okay, Rocket, you do have a legitimate argument because everyone else is going to send to y, okay? And if you send it to z, the congestion level is going to be lower. Okay, so you don't mind paying more money, right? As long as it gets to w quicker. Okay, makes sense. Okay. Very creative, Rocket. And let's see, Hao Yu was saying, okay, for team 4, why? Because less cost. Okay, same argument with the RNG. Let's see, David, send data to Y also because it may reduce the overall cost, definitely. Okay, difference between 2 and 10. Yeah. Oh, and just be careful if you're actually judging based on the cost. The overall cost from x to w will be then 2 plus 2, 4. And overall cost to go from x to w through z will be 17 because it's 7 plus 10. All right. So if the end goal is to send data to w with the shortest path, okay, least cost path, then yeah, send it to y, and the least cost is what? 4, okay, instead of 17. And you know what? That is the idea of distance vector. Okay? So each router there will try to listen, okay, information being passed from the neighbors, okay, based on the neighbors' information, based on the neighbors' knowledge to decide what is the best way to go to a particular destination. Right? Is the way passing W through Z being, okay, that is a very good point, Hao Yu. Okay. Okay, let me just go through Bingjia's answer. Okay, Bingjia was saying also going through Y because the cost is lower. Yeah, if it's hey, okay, on the plot, all right, the network says the cost from Y to Z is 1. So, hey, there's another way to go to W, which is to go from X to Y, and then Y to Z, and then Z to W. Then, in that case, the cost is only 13. Yeah, that is another way. But that is actually going to Y first and then W. And I'm sorry, going to Y first and then Z and then W. Okay? Yeah. But hey, you see, when the data reaches Y, okay, Y is gonna see, right? I do have a way to go to W, which is 2. Okay, and the other way reported by Z is 1 plus 10. Which one is better? Still 2, right? So I think Y there, okay, if Y is doing a dutiful job, then we'll be sending data from Y directly to W instead of going through Z. Right? Hope that is clear how you. But that is a good point. Okay, there's yet another way. X, Y, Z, and then W. Okay, I mean, similarly, you could actually consider X, Z, Y, and W. Okay, but Z there will see, oh yeah, you know what? Z there will see 1, 2. Okay, so that is 10, right? There's another way. If Z is getting the data, Z is actually going to send it to Y and then W. Instead of going through the path from Z to W that Z just reported. And you know what? Okay, Z might still actually report 10 to X because it might take time for Z to discover there's another way to W which is going through Y, okay, 1 plus 2 to W. Okay, because before Y reports the shortest path to W to Z, Z would just say, hey, the best way I know is only 10. So you see here in distance vector routing, okay, the computation is not done in one time. okay, through an algorithm. It's actually someone needs to send you something, and then you do a little bit of calculation, okay, and then you update the best route, and then you further report it to your neighbors. Okay? So it's not like, in one time without any of these messages change. And that's why I said, well, distance vector is there to help, but you need to be more patient. I hope that with these two quizzes, a little bit more clear. Okay, it brings some intuition into you. Okay, so let's take a look at distance vector. Wait. Okay, video.
That should give you a rough sense how a router discovers a route without seeing the entire network topology. That is asking the neighbors to help. So neighbors will be reporting how they know about the destination. Now you know the neighbor's cost to the destination, and you know the cost for you to reach each of your neighbor. So that be x, and the cost from the neighbor to destination y. You can calculate the sum of x and y. If the value here is not infinity, you've discovered a route to the destination. But in order to discover the route that is the best to the destination, then you will need to check through all neighbors. Okay, for each neighbor, you find the cost to each of these neighbors. And you find out from that particular neighbor the cost to the destination. And you sum up, okay, x and y for that particular neighbor. So you pick I such that xi plus yi is the lowest. There, you discover the best route, the shortest path. And I there is the next hop that leads to the shortest path to the destination. And you see right on the slide that what I was describing is exactly how distance vector algorithm works. So let me define the term here. dxy is the cost, okay, of the shortest path to go from x to y. And so what we're calculating here is the minimum cost to go from x to y, or to discover the shortest path from x to y. The way to do it is to go over all the v's. Okay, v's are the neighbors of the source. For each v, we calculate the cost to go from the source to the neighbor, plus the cost from the neighbor to the destination. So the sum here is the cost to go from the source to the destination through a particular neighbor v. So all we need to do is just to go over all the neighbors and calculate the sum for each neighbor, and pick the neighbor that gives us the minimum value. And that minimum value is the minimum cost, okay, from x to y. And that v there is the next hop along the shortest path to the destination. So by doing this calculation here, we discover the shortest path. We discover the minimum cost. And this equation here is better known as the Bellman-4 equation, because this algorithm implemented in distance vector routing is devised by these two great guys. Let's try to exercise the Bellman-4 equation using an example. And that's calculate the shortest path from U to Z. Right? The first thing to do is, hey, we need to have the neighbors, right, reporting, okay, how they know about the destination. So use neighbor including V, W, and X. So V will need to report the distance from V to Z, and that is the entry here. X will have to report the shortest distance from X to Z. Same for W to report the shortest distance from W to Z. And then we can begin, okay, doing the calculation. So we'll be going through all three neighbors one by one. So let's take the first neighbor V. Okay, so link cost from the source to V is 2. And dVz is 5. So we have 2 plus 5 here. Okay. From U to Z through V, the cost is 7. Second neighbor, X. So this is the second one. Link cost, okay, from the source to x, 1. And dxz reported as 3. So this is 4 here. Wow, nice. Third neighbor, w. Link cost is 5. And dwz, 3. So together, 8. So obviously, 4 is the minimum value. This is the minimum cost from u to z. And you know what? X is the neighbor that gives you the minimum cost. Therefore, X is the next hop leading to the shortest path. So here, X here, achieving the minimum is the next hop in the shortest path. And that is also, okay, the link pointing to X is the link interface to insert in the forwarding table for destination Z. So that was the Bellman-Ford equation, which captures nicely how one discovered the shortest path, the minimum cost to go from the source to the destination. But you see also in the previous example, right? Calculation of the Bellman-Ford is actually based on these information. Cij, okay, the link cost from the source to each of the neighbors. And these, the shortest distance from each of the neighbors to the final destination. Alright, that is also saying the distance vector algorithm as a whole contains the Bellman-Ford algorithm. But before the Bellman-Ford can be calculated, each node will also need to collect these information. Now, this is actually configured in from the network admin when the network is established. Now, this actually relies on the neighbors, okay, sending their routing information to the node. Okay, so next, what I'll be talking about is to go over the entire distance vector routing algorithm, covering both the message passing part as well as the Bellman-Ford part. Now, before I talk about the entire distance vector routing algorithm, let me introduce just one more notation. dxy is the shortest distance from x to y. This is not new. The new one is here. A node is going to maintain the shortest distance from itself to every possible destination existing in the network. So, capital N here is the set of the nodes in the network. So we do have multiple values of these dxy, okay? Because there are multiple values of these y's. Okay? So each of these values is the distance, the shortest distance to a destination in the network. Therefore, we call this a distance vector. It's denoted as capital D. Okay? Now, because this is a distance vector for node x, therefore it's called the dx. So the distance vector routing algorithm, the goal is to derive dx, okay, for each node x, right? And before we could calculate dx, okay, the node here needs to have two pieces of information. Okay, according to the Bellman-Ford equation, we need to know the link cost from the node to each of the neighbors. So CXVs. Now, in order to have the shortest distance from each of the neighbors to a particular destination, yes, we need to also know, okay, the neighbors' distance vectors. So for each v, node x here also maintain dv. And now the algorithm of distance vector routing. You see here, okay, key idea is it works in two phases. First of all, each node sends its own distance vector to the neighbors. So this is the message passing phase. And then two. When the node receives the distance vectors from all the neighbors, Bellman-Ford equation calculation begins. And as a result, okay, the node x there discover its own distance vector. And we could loop back. This node here then will pass the dx to the neighbors. That is the general idea of distance vector routing algorithm. The Bellman-Ford equation, now this is the Bellman-Ford equation. Okay? know that when x receives all these dv's from the neighbors, okay, dx is not just one value to one particular destination. So this Bellman-4 equation is going to be called, again, these many times, so that we derive the shortest distance to each of the possible destinations in the network, n. Alright. Yeah, final note here. Under minor natural condition, the shortest distance from x to y, at the beginning, it might be really bad, okay? But as time goes by, it's going to converge to the actual least cost. So, minor natural conditions means that, yeah, for normal internet operation, this is going to hold true. To be more precise, this is distance vector routing algorithm, and it's depicted such that it looks like it's working in cycles. So each router in the network, okay, operates such a cycle. First, it's going to wait for one of these two events. Very common is that you receive a distance vector from the neighbor. Okay. Occasionally, this router here might detect there's a link cost change, okay, among these links to the neighboring routers, because these two events might affect the result of the Bellman-4 calculation. Yeah, so when these two events occur, yeah, we trigger Bellman-4 calculation to begin. Okay. As a result, we get a new distance vector. Now, if the distance to any of the destination has changed, that means, better route discovered, okay, shorter distance discovered. Then we tell to the neighbors, because the neighbors might also benefit, okay, from the good news, benefit from the discovery. Right? So you see, distance vector routing algorithm working this way, it's iterative, meaning it works in cycle. In each cycle, okay, it can only be triggered by two kinds of events: link cost change and DV update messages arriving at the router. It's also distributed because one can calculate and discover a better route and pass it to another node. Okay, so each node notifies the neighbors of a better route, and the neighbors then calculates even better route and notifies the neighbors. So in the end, they converge to the shortest path, but the effort is actually shared, distributed, and contributed by all the routers in the network. So that was distance vector. Okay, very interesting, isn't it? Let's go over just one example so that make sure that it's clear to you. Okay, example time. In order to make sure that you understand this thing clearly, let's use a concrete example. So the example this time, very simple, only 3 nodes, x, y, z, and they are fully connected. Oh, by the way, we have not yet talked about initialization of the distance vectors. Yeah. In node x, okay, the distance vector of x is initialized this way. For destination x, well, it's itself, therefore, distance 0, it does not cost anything, okay, to transfer data from x to x. To go from x to y, let's initialize it to the link cost of xy if they are adjacent to each other. So, to here. xz, so xz, they're adjacent, therefore we use the link cost between xz. Okay. Similarly, you do the same thing to initialize dy for node y, dz for node z. Now, hey, in node x, it maintains all neighbors' distance vector, alright, but at the initialization phase, node x did not receive anything from y nor from z yet, so dy and dz, these two vectors, are left null. Okay. So I'm just using the sign of infinity there, okay, to represent their null. Similarly, for dx and dz in node y, and so on and so forth. So this is how you initialize, okay, the initial distance vector table, which is composed of 3 vectors. Okay. You maintain your own vector, you maintain also the neighbor's vector. Now, Once, okay, the vectors are initialized, each router will what? Okay, notify the neighbors. So this vector here will be sent from x to all the neighbors, y and z. Similarly, node y is going to send its initial table to x and z. And similarly, z sent to y and x. Alright. And that's why, okay, in the next cycle, node x here in the table, it's going to see dy from node y, dz here from node z. Alright. Now, with neighbors distance vector in place, now we can begin to calculate the dx. So what is the value of dxy? What is the value of dxz? Now let's start from calculating dxy. Right? So the Bellman-Ford equation says we try through all the neighbors, okay, of the source. X is right here, the source, two neighbors, y and z. So yeah, we do have two entries here. Okay, one is assuming neighbor being y. Second, using neighbor z. So, okay, for the first sum, we use the link cost from the source to first neighbor, and then adding the shortest distance from the neighbor to the destination. Now, in this case, neighbor happens to be the destination, so this is 0. Okay, as dy y says 0. Link cost xy, 2. So 2 here. Now for the second neighbor, z. Link cost of xz, 7. So 7 right here. Shortest distance from neighbor z to destination y. Okay, then we need to look up the table. From z to y. Right here, it says 1. So 7 plus 1. This is 8. And this is 2 only. Therefore, y here wins. Okay, y is the next hub router, okay, to y. So therefore, we write 2 right here, okay, for x, y. And now we derive dxz. Okay, so from x to z. Again, from the same source, two possible neighbors. One is y, the other is z. Link cost from x to y, 2. So 2 right here. Shortest distance from y to z, we'll have to look up the y row here to z. So the distance vector from the neighbor y suggests it should be 1. That's what we are seeing here. Now for the second neighbor z, link cost from x to z, 7. So 7 here. The shortest distance from neighbor z to z, trivial. And yeah, it should be 0 here in the table. So this is 7 and this is 3. Therefore, y wins again. To go from x to z, take this path. And we can add 3 back to the distance vector of x. And what do we do next? Yeah, now x here acquired the new distance vector. It's going to what? Send it to all the neighbors. Okay. So this is the first cycle, calculating the dx, okay, from the x's point of view. Similarly, node y there is going to be calculating the dy. Node z there is going to be calculating the dz because it's receiving dx and dy. So after the quiz, you'll see dx is changed and dz changed as well. So node x and node z will be propagating, okay, the newly discovered, the better distance vector, like this. Okay. So no x receiving the update is going to replace this with the new distance vector. Just like y here, okay, this vector here is going to be also replaced with the new vector from z. Similarly, this vector here is going to reach z, and z is going to update from 027 to 023. Now, what's a bit special is this, okay? In the quiz, you see that dy here at no y, it's actually not changed. Therefore, no y here is not going to distribute to 0, 1, okay, to x nor to z. So, this stays the same, therefore, this and this stays the same. But no y here is going to receive a new dx and new dz, therefore this gets changed to 023, this gets changed to 310. You see that in cycle number 2, x, y, and z, they actually converge. Okay? The view is consistent, and they all converge to the shortest path, okay? The least cost path. So, in this very simple example, we see distance vector using the Bellman-4 equation works really well, converges in 2 cycles. And that's all for today. And you see also that the quiz I was referring, giving the last part of the video, is actually coming next and coming first in the Wednesday lecture next week. Alright, so I'm going to leave the session on for a few more minutes, just in case you have other questions you want to ask. Okay. And do attend Wednesday lecture early, because we'll have quizzes coming first. And if you're still there, let me know. Do you like link state better or distance vector better? Okay, good. So that is all, and I'm going to end the stream now. I'll see you Wednesday again.